So I'm waiting to go to another doctor's appointment. So I figured I'd do a car chat. Where do I begin? So back in 2015, I believe, I separated from my husband. So basically, I was in a relationship that was extremely toxic. There was a lot of infidelity on his part. And then there was also a lot of verbal abuse, a lot of even physical abuse. I feel like when the infidelity transitioned over to verbal abuse and just like even like mentally, just from like the things he would call me and how he would treat me and how he would treat the girls, and then having that transition from him verbally, being abusive to him actually being physical to me and to the girls. I felt like at that point in time enough was enough, and I literally had to pack up everything I possibly could and hightail it to New Jersey from Florida, which is a really long drive. I think at the time Alessandra was maybe 5, 2015, yeah, 5, and Ariella was 3. Yeah, Ariella might have been 3. Yeah, taking that long drive from Florida to New Jersey with 2 young girls is extremely stressful and is insane. Packing up all your stuff. My biggest thing in my relationship, from the infidelity to, the abuse in the relationship, my biggest thing was that I didn't want other people in my business, mostly in the beginning, like with the infidelity and stuff like that, because I personally was not ever a person that was like, I'm gonna give a person like a lot of chances. Like, that's just not who I am. But being in a relationship with him for so many years, we were high school sweethearts, and us just pretty much growing up together, and him being the first person that I thought that I actually was madly in love with, it was hard for me to express to others the difficulties in our relationship when it came to infidelity. And it wasn't just like one form. It would be like, messages to, other women. Like, say if we went to a grocery store and he saw a girl's name tag, he would literally go out of the way to find that person on Facebook and message how beautiful they are, which is not only creepy when you think about it, but also extremely disrespectful. He actually did that to me quite a few times after we had our first daughter, Alessandra, and I call him every single time. And then there was also instances where there would be people that he would talk to at work, and he was telling one of his best friends, who was also someone that I knew of because he pretty much, would always be around with our daughter. He would come over, blah, blah, blah. And he basically told his best friend about how there was this girl at work and how he would go to her house and sleep with her. And at that time, I was pregnant with Ariella, which is my second daughter. And that pregnancy was so stressful. Like, when I say so stressful, I mean extremely stressful. Like, I was in and out of the hospital with cramping. Like, there's so many times that I thought I was gonna like lose my pregnancy from the amount of stress. We had just gotten to a house. He was doing lots of drinking, lots of like going out and not coming home, or claiming he was going away on work trips. Like, for me, being a stay-at-home mom, I'm used to doing things on my own, and I felt like I trusted him to work and do the things that he needed to do, to support our family. And on my end, I still made sure I did what I was supposed to do. Like, I make sure I took care of the house, took care of the girls, cleaned, cooked. I also would sell things from the house. Like, I would make like little cute like baby things, and I would sell them online, to make sure that I'm still contributing. That way, it's not just like I'm sitting at home knitting and staring at the ceiling all day. Like, I was doing things. I was homeschooling the girls, or Alessandra, I should say, at the time, because Ariella was still too little. So I made sure that as a wife, I did what I felt like a wife should do. Even if, he had a long day at work, I know he worked a lot of hours, I would make sure that his food was ready. And, when he was ready for a bath, like, I would make sure that, like, his bath was ran. Like, because, like, not because I felt like I was his slave and I had to do that, because that's definitely not true, but because I wanted to show him that I appreciated him, and I felt like as a return, he pretty much gave me the finger and was like, okay, well, that's what you're supposed to do, slave. Like, chop, chop, get to work. I'm going to go out and do what I'm supposed to do and do what I want to do. And whether you like it or not, I'm going to continually do it. And every time I caught him, he would all the time, you know, apologize, or he'd cry and say, don't leave, blah, blah, blah. Except for that time when I was pregnant with Ariella. And I was just like, you know what? If you're not in love with me, like, can you just tell me that and let me know? Because I don't want to feel like I'm wasting my time. And he legit just like, he didn't even turn around. He just said, no, I don't love you. Just like completely cold. I'm like, here I am, 6 months pregnant with your child, with your second child, to be exact. And you can't even turn around and look me in the face and say, no, I don't love you. And I'm just like, well, is there someone else? He literally lied to me for over 2 weeks, saying there was no one else. And then he eventually told me there was someone else, which was the text messages that I had found from before about him seeing some girl like after work and like taking her out to like dinners and dates. And like, are you serious? Like, really? And even after that situation, and that really stressful month, I don't know, I'm not gonna lie, like, I was extremely weak. Like, I felt like I had completely lost myself. I had given my heart to this person, and I felt like they completely ripped it out of my chest, gave this person my heart, and this person just took it and just like, okay, like it wasn't a big deal. And that was extremely painful, and especially to come to terms with that. And I think that was the first time I actually got like my parents involved and his mom involved in the whole situation, because his mom is really religious. And I think like for her, she was like really shocked like by his behavior. And I mean, I even like had to open up to them and kind of tell them when I was pregnant, you know, like, this isn't the first time. But me being a wife, being a mother, being pregnant, I felt like, I don't even know, like, why. Now I think about it, I'm like, why did I even stay? What actually made me think it would be okay to stay after that? Like, I literally almost lost my second pregnancy. Why did I want to stay? Whatever. But I stayed, and he ended up getting fired from his job. I don't even know what the real reason was. It could have been because of the relationship. It could have been, I don't know, maybe him and the girl really weren't having a thing. Maybe he was just being a weirdo, like, you know, when he would message other people, like, online and social media. But he ended up getting fired, and we moved from Philadelphia to New Jersey. Not New Jersey, sorry, Philadelphia to Florida. I think Ariella was 4 months, so she was a little baby. And we made that huge move, and you know, I saw like so much change in him after he lost his job. Like, I was thinking like, okay, maybe it was just his job stressing him out, blah, blah, blah. Maybe he was just like wanted to give up. But once we moved down to Florida, everything was cool for a few months. And then he met some guy coworker, and then he started hanging out with this guy coworker. For me, I felt like I shouldn't be in a relationship with someone if I can't trust them. And even though he broke my trust plenty of times, I felt like, okay, if I'm going to give him another chance, then I need to 100% give him another chance. You know, this was my husband. So I trusted him, and I think it was a night I think there was a lot of nights after that he just like kept like his phone with him. Like, when I say kept his phone with him, I mean kept his phone. Like, for some people, like, you have your cell phone, you leave it on the counter, you leave it on the bed, you know, in your pocket, or, you know, sometimes you say, oh crap, where's my phone? My phone's ringing, let me go find my phone, you know. Not him. Like, his phone was always on him. Like, if he went to sleep, it was directly under his pillow. If he went to take a shower, he took his phone and put it in the medicine cabinet in the shower. If he was sitting around the house, his phone was always in his pocket. Like, he made sure his phone was on him at all times. And God forbid if his phone made a noise or rang, like, if I went to even go in the direction of his phone, like, oh babe, like, your phone's ringing, you know, he would like legit like jump up and grab his phone and say, oh, don't touch my phone, that's mine, don't touch my phone. Okay, like, for me, I don't have an issue with him touching my phone, but for him, that was a big deal. So there was a time where he fell asleep. This is probably like, okay, I know some people would be like, this is an invasion of his privacy. I mean, it is, but something's not right, and I feel like I have the right to know. And he's honestly not going to tell me the truth, and this is not the first time. So I checked his phone, and he was bragging to this other guy about the situation he had in Philadelphia about the girl that he was like sleeping with, and how she's telling him like, you need to move back to Philadelphia and be with me and blah blah blah. I'm like, what? Like, why are you bragging to this guy who you're supposedly friends with about cheating on your wife, the mother of your 2 children, who has never done you wrong, you know? Like, I never cheated on him. I never even wanted to cheat on him. Like, for me, I was just focused on like our relationship. Like, I want us to be successful, I want us to be a family and do the things we need to do, you know, as husband and wife. For him, like, he had all these other motives, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna do me and do this and do that. Like, why? Like, why was that something you want to brag about? And that completely like hurt. Like, at that moment in time, like, I was just like mentally like just done with the relationship, just done at that point. Like, there was nothing he could say or do at that point. I was just done. And I remember us having to go up to my brother's wedding, and I was just like, after this wedding, I need to start making a plan so I can leave. And I went to my brother's wedding, and my brother and his wife got married, and we came back down to Florida. And once we came back down to Florida, he was just like, the entire drive, let me just say, the entire drive, even from Florida up to New Jersey, when we went to my brother's wedding, he was just a complete jerk. Like, just straight out mean. Like, he would just curse at me, yell at me, like, for absolutely no reason, like, you know, his usual stuff. And then I was just telling God, like, let this trip just show me that, you know, this is not gonna work. And God was definitely showing me that 100%. And once we came back from that trip, that's when the physical abuse began, and it happened to my oldest daughter. And literally, I feel like that moment is what pushed me like out of the house. Like, that was God's way of saying, all right, girl, enough. So being a mother, I refuse. And when I say refuse, I refuse to sit around and let any man hurt my child. I don't care if that's the father or not. Like, you're not going to grab and abuse our child. Point blank, period. So that day, I literally, like, I didn't even have $200 in my account at that point. Like, I literally just packed up my stuff and left, because for me, I feel like that is crossing the line. Whether it was just me or whether, it doesn't even matter, like, the person. Like, I feel like right is right, is wrong is wrong. Like, the sun is like coming in like crazy. So that moment in time, I was like, I wash my hands, I'm done. Like, he tried to like apologize, blah, blah, blah. I had to call who I had to call. I had to do what I needed to do to make sure that me and my girls were safe so I could leave like as soon as possible. And that's exactly what I did. So I came up here to Jersey, and since then I've been getting a lot of support from my parents, my sister as well, because a lot of my family live up here, and the support is what makes it so much easier. Like, I sympathize for people that, you know, get out of relationships like that don't have this support, because you need so much support, especially being like a single parent. I was really thankful for that. And so lately I am finishing up my last year of school, and I'm going for my master's. I was really hesitant about a lot of the things I was planning on doing here, but I feel like God has steered me in the right direction to make changes and to improve as a mother, as a woman in general, for my potential future husband. And, you know, just to be a great role model for my girls. Like, I don't want my girls to ever in their lives to make an excuse for abuse or think abuse is okay, because in my opinion, it's not. And I'm glad that I had the strength to do that and to pick up my stuff and go, because I know there are women that are struggling with it every single day of their lives, and, you know, they don't really have the ability to leave, or they have the ability but they don't have the strength, I should say. They don't have the courage to leave. And I just thank God so much that out of everything I've been through in that 10-year relationship that I had with my ex-husband, that I was able to get up on my feet and make a change. And I am so proud of the woman that I am today. I think doing this video now opposed to even a year ago from now, I feel like as if it was a learning experience. Like, if I were to do this video right after it happened, or, you know, or last year, I feel like I was still affected by it, And like just talking about it still really brought me to tears. But now I'm at the point in my life where I feel like this is my testimony, this is my story, this is, you know, a story of, you know, how yes, I may have, you know, gone through so much pain and had such a terrible experience. But at the end of the day, I'm just extremely thankful that, you know, God got me through it and has blessed me in so many ways.